I've got like quite a lot of props as well. I've got my spade. I've got a rifle. I've got my trumpet. I've been roped into playing trumpet as well, which is probably the thing
Oh,
I'm
great.
most nervous about.
Are you going to be playing it
Um,
live?
yeah,
Really?
Amazing.
yeah.
Good
So
That's
it's like,
man.
you
sick,
know,
man.
your typical sort of 19th century like bugle style artilleryman. Yeah.
What are you up to at the minute? I've seen you guys done bits of press, and I guess you've kind of been getting to grips with the material a bit. Are we in full-on rehearsal period now, or is it just kind of the beginning stages? What stage are you guys at with this?
I've just done one day basically. We did the. I'm assuming me and Rao have done the same things, but we like did a day in the studio doing like recording the song, so Jeff could hear, so he could sort of hear it, and then have a record of it, and then we did like like some of the show is like on screens. So I mean, to be honest, Rao's actually you're full blown acting in this, aren't you, Rao?
Yeah, I didn't have any video to actually record on our
Yeah, so all of
day.
your stuff's live action.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a few bits where I'm sort of on the screen. So I went and did like some stuff in front of green screen. Um, but other than that, yeah, we're pretty much we haven't really started yet. I mean, it really kicks off in March, I think, for rehearsals.
Nice. So early days, I guess, still at that point of getting to grips with it. So how are you finding it from that perspective? You know, Rao, we chatted obviously a little bit a while back when it was just announced, and I know you're obviously very, very familiar with the record. Charlie, I don't know if that's the same with you as well, but just tell me a little bit about discovering these moments you're going to have to sing. You know, it's that rare thing where you're taking on someone else's material for once. You know, you guys are so used to getting up there, playing your own songs, putting together your own show. What's that been like? Just finding your way with these songs.
Yeah, that's been really interesting. And I imagine that it's still at the beginning, really, because I think each person that's played, my role and Charlie's role, like they brought their own sort of thing to it. And so I'm told that that's been the case as well. And I think the more confident I get in the role, and the more I sort of the more comfortable really I am sort of playing it, because I've only been kitted out once. Um, so it's the more I kind of live in those clothes and live in that role, I think the more like it will become something that's more of a slightly more of a collaboration rather than like completely dictatorial. Um, but yeah, it has been strange. It's like, all I can compare it to is like performing in like a school play or something. You're given a script and you do this. I mean, that was the last time I was on the stage in any theatrical role. It was bloody Oliver, and I was
Yeah.
like third urchin from the left. I wasn't even playing a major role. Um, just picking some pockets and that. So yeah, no, it's all very new and very interesting, like the whole process. But yeah, as we say, it's still early days at the moment. But yeah, it's been fascinating.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the same as Rao. I actually used to love. I mean, the slight difference with my role here is that I'm more singing than I'm just singing. I haven't got any sort of lines to say. So I'm slightly, I guess, more comfortable. If I was doing what Rao was doing and actually sort of had lines to speak, I think probably be even more nervous. But I mean, it's just like being in an environment that you're not sort of controlling is you do definitely feel out of your comfort zone, and also the fact that this isn't like a new thing. This is this whole show and this whole all the music from this album is loved across the world by lots of different people. Do you know what I mean? Like it has its own fan base, so we're sort of coming in and hopefully we don't disappoint the people that are going to see it. Do you know what I mean? It's like they have something to compare to, which makes our job harder, I think. Um, but then I think that makes it even more important to put your own spin on it. As much as Jeff will sort of allow. But do you know what? Jeff is really cool, man. Like Jeff is super like I think comfortable with us sort of doing it our own way. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that he would have picked me or Al to do something like this if he wasn't sort of willing to give us a bit of room to sort of make it our own. I think. I hope.
Yeah. No, 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 absolutely. I think that's the good thing about it. It's probably why it's lasted so long and keeps doing all these tours because it's fun to see who these new casts are going to be each time and how they're going to put their own spin on it. That's kind of the joy of doing something like this, right? Having that opportunity to do it your way.
Yes. And also, it's just so off the wall, man. Like as a concept, I think that it's obviously the source material and the show and the album and the show, sort of three different things, are all sort of wildly ahead of their time, I think, and still hold important messages for today. And I think that it's unlike anything else. It's so unique. So I think even though it's like a new experience, it would be unlike any experience that we did if we did anything else like this. Do you know what I mean? It's just so its own thing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, man. I've Over the last few years, I've just got more and more into just doing things that I would never have done maybe 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Because this really is this is going to be different, really different. That's kind of
Yeah.
exciting.
No, it's nice to challenge yourself in that way. But I mean, there's moments to get comfortable. I mean, Rao, I remember you said before, you figured the day you put the costume on, that would be like, oh, now this feels like a real thing. Now this feels like, okay, we're actually
Mm.
getting there. Have you put it on yet? Have you had the fitting? How did it feel like that? Did it feel like an
Yeah,
adjustment to go, yeah.
yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, but I've just said that one day. So I did some stuff on green screen, but I assume it was just for like the kind of side screens before the
Yeah,
show or whatever. We did a little photo shoot as well. And I've got like quite a lot of props as well. I've got my spade, I've got a rifle, I've got my trumpet. I've been roped into playing trumpet as well, which is probably the thing
Oh,
I'm
great.
most nervous about.
are you going to be playing it
Um,
live?
yeah,
Really?
Amazing.
yeah.
Good
So it's
That's
like,
man.
sick, man.
your typical sort of 19th century like bugle style artilleryman. Yeah.
That's wicked.
Um, yeah, so like handling all that stuff and yeah, being in costume and in the second part, in my kind of second scene, I've been digging, so I'm all like grubby, I've got cuts and bruises and things. So it's like, you look in the mirror and I was very much like, and I just cut my hair as well, like really short, which I hadn't done for years and years. And so it was just like, oh yeah, I'm like this person now, this different person. So yeah, it was quite fascinating. But it's still early. I'm still like working out uh, the voice, and yeah, what I can bring to it and everything. But yeah, it's been really fun so far.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie, something I said again, I said to Raoul a while back was the fact that it's almost a nice middle ground's maybe the wrong word, but it's a great opportunity for you guys in that, yes, it's something completely different. Yes, it's something you guys have never really done before, but it's in an environment that you are both very, very familiar with. You've both played these rooms a load of times. You've both been able to bring your own show and your own flair into there. That's got to be at least a little bit of a maybe comfort's the wrong word, but it definitely must make you feel a little bit more comfortable being like, okay, I know I may not know much about the theatre world, but I know how an arena tour works. I know what I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And as I say, so because it's like a big production show, it's not like you're in an actual theater. Um, it's like it's kind of it's sort of I think will feel more like a live show rather than a theater show. I think. But then you got this huge, massive alien that's blasting fire, so that's going to be a bit mental. But yeah, man, I feel like it's something that's like. I think you just got to throw yourself into it. You know what I mean? Like as Ralph said, we're sort of at the early stages of stuff, and I'm a really obsessive person. So like once the sort of train's moving, then I'll get really sort of caught up in it, and then I'll focus fully on it. But at the moment, it's because it sort of feels like we haven't really started yet. I haven't really started to get my head in the game because I feel like I don't want to sort of get in and then come out and get in. Do you know what I mean? I just want to once we start, get in and go. You know.
Yeah, which makes sense for sure. But it must be nice as well, just even being at this stage, immersing yourself in that music a little bit because, as we alluded to already, it was a very influential record. I feel like it was, in many ways, kind of a gateway rock record. I remember my dad listening to it and stuff. It's definitely one of the first kind of concept albums I ever heard of, and I think a lot of rock fans feel the similar way, just because it was so ubiquitous and everywhere, and it kind of opens you up to a wider world in that way.
Yeah, dude, I was absolutely fascinated with the reaction from the rock community over doing this show, and also just the show in general. Like people that I wouldn't have thought in a million years would be aware of it or listen to it. They were like, "Oh yeah, I was a massive fan of that album." I think probably because of when it came out, largely through their parents or through their parents playing it when they were younger. But some people in full blown metal bands are like, "Yeah, man, that's sick." Do you know what I mean? It's like. which is cool. I mean, it's just testament to Jeff's music. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I think the melodies are brilliant. I think the harmonies are brilliant. I get to sing a song called "Forever Autumn," which is like, just really like the harmonies are so like that sort of 70s Laurel Canyon, uh, Eagles, Crosby, Stills, and Nash kind of vibe, which I love. It's been a big influence on me. And my solo stuff. So yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, Rao, were you aware of it growing up as well?
Yeah, yeah, it was very much in my uncle's world. He loved his all things prog. Yeah, and I remember him introducing it to me and just being terrified as a kid. I think I was probably about 7 years old or something. Um, but yeah, but my experience of announcing it was the same as yours. I was almost like, additionally, I was almost like quite nervous about it because, are people going to understand that it isn't like this sort of West End thing?
Yes.
It's a very different thing.
Yeah.
It's like a rock musical production kind of vibe. And yeah, just like everyone just seemed to get it and be like really, really excited. And yeah, the amount of people who sort of, were passionately relaying their memories of being introduced to it by, their parents or whoever it was. It was, yeah, really, really lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really lovely. No, it is exciting. It does feel like a very, very good fit for both of you, not just kind of vocally and all that stuff, but also I like the fact that, as we say, this is such a kind of influential concept album. It introduced people to the idea, I guess, of having bigger, wider concepts in their music. And I think, Shikari play with massive, massive topics, definitely want to have all-encompassing things that sometimes stretch across entire albums, all that stuff. Obviously, Fight Star definitely delved into that wider concept, but even in the Busted territory, those are stories. Those are individual stories in those songs.
Yeah.
So to see both of you guys kind of come in here, I mean, I guess the question really is, do you reckon you'll be able to take anything out of the experience back to your respective bands? I know that's way too early to say at this point, but now that you're starting to immerse yourself more and more in this music, is it sparking anything for you thinking, oh, that's really interesting. I'd like to try that out one day. I'll put my spin on that.
Well, I'll say that I found like the more you immerse yourself in a world or in a musical genre, and you sort of feel you have like standing in it, whether it's like literally researching and listening to something, or whether it's like you're introduced to it by someone in your family or a close friend, and therefore it gives you an in. You just become more confident in that area, and I think that's something that will kind of rub off on me. That some of the melodies and the songwriting and the journeys that the music takes you on is still so good. And the amount I'll have to listen to this music, not just in rehearsals, but then on tour, there's no way I'm not going to be influenced by that. It's just going to be drummed into me. And yeah, so I'm sort of quite looking forward to that, like having that kind of that history of musical history and melodic history kind of seep into my bones, over the next few months.
Yeah, I'm also really looking forward to playing with a huge orchestra, man. Like, as a musician, that's just an absolute treat for, in any scenario. But like to have, you know, Jeff's band are absolutely incredible, and I think like to be able to be on stage and be part of something that huge is really cool as a performer. Just to be able to sort of drink that in and sense that, I think in the modern day, obviously, so much stuff. If you have a lot of strings and stuff, a lot of bands will obviously aren't going to take an orchestra with them. You'll just have it on track. But they are taking an orchestra with them. It's going to be like big orchestra every night. So that's going to be. I'm really looking forward to that. To be honest.
Yeah, that's
Oh
very,
yeah.
very cool. Got to be so, so exciting to hear that in the kind of big rooms like that. What I love about this as well, I mean, I always just admire any artist when they do these kind of things because I just love the way that today you can find these extra avenues to just break you guys into completely new audiences. You can compare this. It's something completely different, but Charlie, like we were saying, trying new mad things. I presume the Masked Singer would have been in there as well.
Yeah,
Something you never would have necessarily tried, but
yeah,
that's a whole new
yeah,
audience for
yeah,
your music.
yeah.
And it's the
Absolutely
same
right.
here.
Yeah, and that was. I mean, that was obviously a slightly different thing, but like, yeah, that was sort of the first time I'd done anything that was complete, but still, obviously, still in the music. I was singing, obviously, like, but like just doing something that I would have thought I would never do that, but then you sort of do it, and then lots of positive things come from it. And I think that as long as it sort of feels like it's something that would be a good challenge, then I think I think go for it, man. I don't know if that's us getting older or whatever, but like, there's so much of life that you could just sort of say no to, and then other experiences won't flow from it. Kind of like the butterfly effect thing, you know?
Mm. No, so true. And I think it makes all sense in the world to just try these new things and just keep growing those voices because you'll get younger crowds coming to this as well. We say about how we heard that album from our parents. There'll be people bringing their kids to this one who will then discover Shikari and Busted and all this stuff. And that's
Yeah,
really, really
yeah.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
cool,
it's a
man.
nice thing. Nice thing to think about. Before I let you go, gentlemen, I'm going to pick your brains just briefly on the other stuff you have going on a little bit. I know you won't tell me much, but let's get into a little bit. Rao, I've heard rumblings. I've heard Shikari rumblings, maybe very early stages of writing and figuring out what's coming next. What kind of stage are you guys at?
Um, just over the burning anxiety stage of, Christ, I'm standing at the foot of another mountain to climb. Um, yeah, that we're in the studio as soon as we get back from Japan, the end of next week. And yeah, songs are starting to form now, and a sort of vibe is starting to form. So it's exciting. We'll definitely have stuff out this year. Um, but not entirely sure when. We haven't finished one song yet. They're all kind of, neck and neck at the moment. But yeah, good
Exciting stuff.
times.
Early days, but exciting stuff ahead. And then Charlie, obviously we know Busted material is kind of being worked on and that massive, massive tour. What's the kind of status on the two of those? How you
Yeah,
getting
so
on with developing them?
it's interesting. Like the Buster versus McFly thing is it's sort of like it's now is like turning that grand idea into a feasible thing. Do you know what I mean? The tickets are sold now, so it's like, right, what do we do about this then? So we obviously it's quite a big undertaking. And actually, you know what? Like being in a big show like War of the Worlds and seeing how they maneuver those kind of things could be cool for ideas for that. But yeah, we're wanting it to feel like not your standard show. We're trying to create something which kind of feels a bit unique in the way that it's actually set up. So we've got some cool ideas, but it's just it's just going through that process. But I think it's going to be really cool, man. So yeah, I'm pretty much just putting focusing on that at the moment. We're doing some writing and stuff, but like that's really the main focus at the moment.